Hi, this is Sonia from An Enthusiastic Reader, coming to you from my office in my house. And yeah, I taped a video last Tuesday, a week ago today. It was a tag video, and I can't believe how much the world seems to have shifted into a completely unknown, topsy-turvy direction since that time. And I know you're all probably feeling exactly the same way. Here we are, wondering what to do with our time, where to focus our energy, and I find a great comfort in watching other people's videos during this time and seeing how everyone's getting along, what they're reading or what they're not reading. So I decided I would go ahead and do a book chat video, and in this video I plan to talk briefly about what I'm reading, because my reading is shit right now, as I've heard other people say too. It's just I am reading, but not at the intensity I had planned to read. I had so many great ideas and ambitions for March, and those are all kind of pushed to the side right now. But so I want to talk to you about that. I have a few podcast recommendations. I want to do one Irish literature recommendation for a book, and maybe read a little excerpt of it. I don't know. And then I just wanted to briefly talk about how thankful I am for booktube in general. Just the diversions that we need and kind of cling to in a time when, you know, you're just wanting something familiar, and that's booktube for me. First, let me just talk a little bit about what's going on our house in the world. As you know, I do some freelance work. But I don't work all the time, and right now I don't have any freelance jobs going, so I'm just going about my days watching booktube, but also taking care of the house, petting the cats, hanging out with my husband, watching TV with him when he is free, and also keeping in touch with my family. I have a lot of family. No one but my mom and grandma live in Colorado anymore, so everyone's kind of far flung. So there's lots of group texts and chats and sending each other memes and pictures, and just kind of keeping up as we're all figuring this stuff out. So that's one thing that's happening. My husband is in healthcare, and he works for a hospice, so he can't just stay home and never go out. He has to be out in the world at certain times. So we can't sequester completely, but he is out there doing good work, and you know, people are still dying of all kinds of different things besides the coronavirus, and that part of life continues. So that's one reason to be concerned about the hospital bed situation, is that, you know, there's lots of people who are supposed to get surgeries and chemotherapy and all of the things that just we're treating on a day-to-day basis, let alone this kind of catastrophe. So take good care of your healthcare workers and love them, and send them all of the best wishes you can while this stuff is happening, because it's going to be hard. Okay, what I'm reading. I'm still reading Daniel Deronda by George Eliot for the March of the Mammoths, and I'm about 50% through, so I consider that a big victory. We're about halfway through the month, a little bit over, and I've read half the book. So I do anticipate reading this and finishing it in March, if all goes according to plan. I've really enjoyed it up till I got to a chapter where the anti-Semitism was just so rampant. I'm baffled by how freely and easily the people of the 1800s just wrote these disgusting, scathing descriptions of people in their community, just stereotypes. And so I'm curious to see where it goes, because I, all in all, really do enjoy the book, and I'm very invested in finding out what happens to these characters. But Jesus, it's just unbelievable how, you know, somebody as kind of, I want to say broad-minded and educated, and somebody who sees into the human psyche and is able to write, you know, the thought patterns of people, and then just to have these characters that are the heroes of the book throw out these stereotypes. Just, anyway, I know you know what I'm talking about, because it happens in so many books from that era, but it's so jarring when you come across it. I'm still reading Lost in the City with Sean, the book Maniac. We have 3 stories to go. It's been a delightful excursion into the mind of Edward P. Jones, and all of these stories take place in Washington, D.C. So you're kind of getting this broad camera sweep of all different kinds of people who live in the city at that time. They're not interconnected, but they're thematic. So I really enjoyed that. I will be sorry when we're done with that because it's been a lot of fun. And what am I going to read after that? I really don't know. I have such a huge pile of books, you guys. So many books in my Kindle, so many plans, and I'm just going to have to be a mood reader. We haven't officially canceled any of our book club meetings for the end of the month, but I see that coming. I don't know how we can justify getting together, even as a small group, at this point. So I don't really want to get invested in whatever the books are for the end of March if we're not going to meet, because there's other things to read. So stay tuned. I will let you know in the next book chat video what I ended up reading beyond Daniel Deronda. I wanted to give you some bookish podcast recommendations. There are a couple of brand new bookish podcasts that are great. The first one is called Bookable, and I think they have 3 episodes. The first one was with Mira Jacob, who wrote Good Talk, and it's a very good discussion between the host and Mira about writing her book. And then there's another book podcast called Thresholds, and that also, they interviewed Mira Jacob, and that's a longer form conversation. So those 2 conversations work really well together if you're interested in that memoir, if you've read it. Not so much about the actual text of the memoir itself, but about how she came about writing it and how hurt and just totally devastated she was dealing with her family and some white friends in the aftermath of Trump getting elected. So those are really good conversations. Also, if you read, I know some of you may have read Trust Exercise all the way to the end and liked it. And there's a really good discussion with the author Susan Choi also in Bookable. That was just, I think, the most recent episode. So, and she talks a lot about the structure of that book, and it's kind of spoilery in terms of what it all means. And so if you were at all interested in that, I would recommend that conversation. I will put all this stuff in the description box, and you know where that is, right? Also, there's a good bookish podcast called The Maris Review, which is a pun on the Paris Review, but she worked in publishing and now she has this very interesting podcast with authors of all different kinds. And she also interviewed Susan Choi. So I really like comparing the conversations on the different podcasts. I'm a nerd. And also, don't forget about the Book Cougars. I'm sure you've seen them mentioned before, but their podcast lasts like 90 minutes. So if you're really doing stuff around the house and you just want to hear 2 funny, smart women chatting about what they're reading and about the bookish issues of the day, that's a great one also. I have a YouTube channel recommendation if you like acoustic music, and it is called Gems on VHS. And what they're doing is it's like this project of this one guy to go out and film single recordings of acoustic songs. So it's like just one performance, and they're really beautifully shot. And the music, I love acoustic music, and especially folk Americana kind of music. So yeah, if you want to kind of branch out from country music or something into something a little bit more indie and more raw and just concentrating on a single voice and a single instrument, as if though maybe one of the Avett brothers was doing a solo act or something. This is a great channel, so check it out. All that I have left on my list is to just talk about how thankful I am that I have booktube in my life. And I got introduced to booktube because my daughter Sabrina started a channel 6 years ago. I don't really talk about Sabrina on this channel because I never really wanted to like ride her coattails, or that sounds so silly, but she's created this amazing presence and her content has grown, and she's really smart and funny and like defiant about the books she doesn't like, and her personality is just really there. And I never wanted to say, hey, you know, this is my daughter, but I am really proud of her. I'm gonna link her channel below. Some of you may have seen her channel before. I really miss her, and so this has been a good way for me over the years to find out what she's up to, aside from our own private conversations, which we have all the time. But I like seeing this aspect of Sabrina, and if it hadn't been for her and her starting a channel and me eventually years later thinking, well, maybe I would give it a try, I wouldn't be here. So I owe a lot to her. And then I also owe so much to all the people who watch my videos, the booktubers and the commenters who don't have channels but are very, very integral to the booktube community. And I'm so thankful to everyone who pops in and comments on my videos all the time, and just I feel very welcomed. I am a small channel. I am very small, and I'm content to be small. It's okay that I haven't grown as fast as other people. It's because when I post a video, I get the most amazing comments and the most engagement, and that's really what I was looking for. And so I feel like I'm a part of this little teeny tiny corner of booktube, and it's made all the difference. So I've listed a whole bunch of channels below of people who have really supported me, and if I've missed anyone, you know who you are. If I've commented on your videos all the time, I do try to comment, even if I don't always have something brilliant to say, just because I want you to know I was there and that I was paying attention and I care about what you have to say. So please check out any of these channels that I've listed below, and to all the commenters who are not booktube content creators, I just thank you so much for your engagement too. And for now, that's all I have to say. Please hang in there and please check in, and let's just take it day by day, I guess. And I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye.